Yeah, man. I think
They say they say the 2:30 sometimes. So the people come out and haters, ones that hate you.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna play a video because we gotta get our mind right. So I just saw this video actually this morning, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play this because it's to put us in the right mindset of what we're doing. Because I really feel like we're in a building stage, and we're also in a rebuilding stage. And you want to, as your sales team, because this is the era. I don't know if you guys understand when it gets to harvest time. It's this. I'm gonna break it down for you real quick. April, well, March, April, May, that's seed sowing. That's a wave of people coming in. You know, yes, June, because people had that vacation mindset in July, they slow down a little bit. But something happens in August, September, and October where everything speeds back up. When you understand the ties of how things work, you have to be in the mix of everything. So if we don't understand that September is usually a boom season, right after that Labor Day weekend, you know, people all of a sudden say, I got to get to work. They do the same thing, you know, right after the Christmas holidays, all of that. Then they'll get back to work. Then they say, I got to get back to work. So we have to be mindful. But one thing we got to do is, it's real simple. We actually have to plan. I think the market's going to work today. We have to plan to succeed, is what I'm saying. So that's the whole mindset, is plan to succeed. If we don't plan to succeed, then what happens is it becomes a great meeting, it becomes a great gathering, and so time goes on, and you see people slow down. They don't really slow down, they redirect their focus. Your heart's still beating. Be mindful of that. People still have a heartbeat, they still got stuff going on. What's really going on is they're redirecting their focus. Most of the time, it's subliminal. They don't even realize they're doing it. It's just that this all of a sudden over here becomes more important. And the opposite of success becomes important because you didn't stay in the field of success long enough. Mm-hmm. So we say, well, you know, this job right now, I got to do this job. Right now, I got to do that. Every person, you guys can examine it on your own time and just do your own little mental experience. Any person that's slowed down in one area, to say they were going someplace else, give them 6 months. If they don't fix the character, they'll realize it's not the business, it's the person. Does that make sense? So everything is about a character trait. If we get our right character trait in mind, then we go ahead and succeed at a level anyway. So I'm gonna play this quick video. It's actually a video that a corporate trainer does, and what they do basically say how to build that success team. And it has made sense to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play this video and jack their stuff. Why not?
Marcon Productions presents Point of View, the on-demand webcast of B2B marketing best practices. I'm Rich Cunningham. How to put your best sales team on the field of play. Mark Thacker is the president of Propellus Consulting, a firm specializing in outsourcing sales leadership, sales training, leadership coaching, and sales optimization. In this point of view, we look at Mark's 4-step strategy on how to put your best sales team on the field. Business is a lot like football. Both require strategy, passion, focus, a winning attitude, and the commitment to excellence. And like football, winning the sales game requires having the right players in the right roles, performing at peak levels in critical situations. Winning teams in football and in business have no place for players who might be good enough. Let's take a closer look at how a sales team is like a football squad. The leader of the sales team should be the sales manager, emphasis on sales. And the sales manager is essentially the quarterback. Like a quarterback, the sales manager manages on-field performance. Armed with a competent and reliable supporting cast of players, the sales manager quarterback can march the team down the field and score that big sale or new client. Without competent and reliable players, however, the sales manager and the entire team are vulnerable and might have to resort to trick plays and Hail Marys. Yes, these tactics can succeed occasionally, but ultimately the team will fall short of the goal line. So how can a sales manager put the best team on the field of play? First, picture your ideal organization. What does your best sales team look like? Don't think of it in terms of people already in your organization, but rather in terms of strengths and qualities that are optimal for continuing success. Next, assess your current team. If you have talented players in your organization that are well suited to help your team win, great. If not, however, don't resort to a wing and a prayer approach whereby you end up forcing players into uncomfortable roles. Have an opening for an outside sales rep, but you currently only have talent at the inside sales position? Don't force a fit when one doesn't really exist. Just as a defensive lineman is not built to succeed as a wide receiver, someone performing well in one part of your organization is not necessarily built to succeed in a different role. Basically, you'll have three options when assessing whether current personnel will fit on your ideal sales team. 1, yes, they are a talented performer, perfect for a position on the team. 2, no, there's not a role on the ideal team for this person regardless of talent or skill that might have been useful in the past. 3, no, there's not a current role for this person. However, there are indications that, with proper training, he or she could be groomed for success in an identified slot. The first two options are absolutes. The third, however, warrants a word of caution. Be careful when making substitutions, especially when it means that your ideal sales organization will be slower to become a reality. Recruit for need. With your ideal organization in mind, and having made the determination that holes exist in key positions, it's time to start recruiting your next sales superstars. While it might be tempting, as some football organizations do, to choose the best available player and place them into an existing slot, your chances of success are usually better to recruit for need and utilize sales team players where they are most likely to succeed. Finally, give talented players a chance to succeed somewhere. During the sales team recruiting rebuilding process, it's possible that some personnel who have performed well in the past simply might not fit into the new structure. This was the case when team owner Jim Irsay faced the unenviable position of letting Peyton Manning go from the Indianapolis Colts. Even though Manning was the face of the organization, and some would say its heart and soul too, Irsay knew that Manning could not reach the Super Bowl again with an organization in rebuilding mode. Thus, it was in Manning's best interest to take his talents elsewhere. Likewise, when building your ideal sales team, you might have to let good people go so they can succeed on another team. Ultimately, that's a better alternative for everyone. Mark Thacker is the president of Propellus Consulting, a firm specializing in outsourcing sales leadership, sales training, leadership coaching, and sales optimization. To learn more about Propellus Consulting services or to
Good enough for him? I think we get the point. One reason why I showed that is because sometimes we're out recruiting, but we're really begging. And you're begging someone to get into business. They get into business, you have an instant self-satisfaction of them getting into business. But yet, they're not a player. So they're on the team, but they're not a player. Players have to show up to practice. Players have to show up to the game. And players have to do all the things behind the scenes to be able to get on the field and show that they're ready to play. If not, it's a good friend of mine, Pat Hentz, in our company Excel years ago. He'd always say, kiss the girl that's leaning towards you, and I would be like, right. So if you're going to get somebody in the business and they doing this and that, like, wait, not just yet. Then you got to step back and say, you know what? For $1 million, like you guys see me do the compensation plan. If you are a senior director and you just average that 500 in the business, you're making $50,000, $60,000 a year, just averaging 500 people in the business, or customers, not really people. Then from there, it's just saying you only have 10% success rate of recruiting, meaning out of 500 active people, 50 people get one that month. That meant the other 450 people may not have done anything. But those 50 got one. One of those will probably compensate and put 3 or 4 in. Well, what does it look like for you? An extra $2,500 to $3,000 in bonus money for the month. Then when you add the luxury lifestyle bonus, you add another $1,500 on top of there. So when you add the trip, you add another $5,000 to almost $7,000 for a trip. You get that? So you really are doing better than the average middle class person. But the one factor is a person on the job literally has to put in a minimum of 40 hours a week. And that's where for recruiting people, we have to be mindful of like, am I really doing this business, or am I treating this business as a standoff and I'm giving the credit to everything else? So I like when he said, sometimes people are better suited for another team. And I like, that's a job to me. It's like, you got a job, go ahead and work that job, do that. Because in general, we must recognize that there are people who want to make millions. We can show the cash flow quadrant up here every Tuesday and show it. And I always look at people when I show it because I'm like, whether they get it or not, this is actually real life. You know, and there's another video I was going to show, and I'll do it another time, but it was just showing how the credit crisis happened. And I was like, well, I can quickly explain it. It's big banks said, hey, we're selling our loans as investments to almost countries. You get this? They sell it and they make a profit. So they take the prime, which is they know that they're going to get the mortgage payment. Then they got the middle, you know, which is like, okay, this is a safe one. And then the lower was the risk. Well, once they got that system down from the late 90s going into the early 2000s, then the bankers was like, we could be making more money. So then they came with, let's just give them loans. It's the biggest hustle I've ever seen. You know, and I call it a hustle because I'm a businessman. I'm never going to look at something like that's wrong. I don't have a victim mentality. I look at it and say, well, if that was the fix, why did I miss out on it? You know, because none of those big banks are doing time. And it's like, but what happened at the end of the day, the mortgage broker was out of business and the people were out of homes. But the government came in and gave the banks back the money. And I look at them like, wow. Look at that. So who are you in business with? So I'm gonna go over connecting your goals to make them a reality. That's really the point. But I get into little certain things where when you know so much about life, you're like, man, my whole goal is to sharpen people. And I believe if you sharpen them, because I was reading this thing this last week and it said the biggest mistake people make of thinking money is knowledge. And I was like, wow, I've never heard that before. Money is knowledge. Because when you have money, you can make decisions. And if you're researching things with your money, then you're going to make right decisions. So it's all about currency. And the reason why they called it knowledge is simply because since 1971, money was no longer backed up to gold. So I'm like, wow. So money's not backed up to gold, so they can print money. So the rich people have changed the game to being rich. So therefore, you have to be mindful of the game of being rich. And they said the biggest thing is they understand leveraging. And when I saw that, I was like, right, I actually made my money through leveraging. So everyone who tries that self mindset, or I'm just going to do this and I do it well, they'll make money, but they won't make big money. All the big money in the world is made through leveraging. Do y'all get that? So get this coffee on my throat. So whenever you see like a self-employed person, they go to work, they get paid, they come home, they're done. Yeah, they're their own boss, but they're also their own liability. We have to make sure that we're not only being our own boss, but we make sure we're not the liability. That's through leveraging yourself. When you leverage yourself, you're going to get paid. And that's what this is all about. So what that does is I made the comment many times about let's not function like a little church where it's just a meeting and then they discuss problems of the world. It's like our meeting has to be a productive meeting to say we understand what needs to be done. Now we're going to execute it because we have the plan. And that once you let it sink in and you know you got the plan, you look at life totally different. You're like, wait a minute, this is the plan. So proof that the game of money has changed is that the newest, richest individuals in the whole country are under 30 years old. You know, and I'm like, whoa, okay, so the tide is changing. And I'm like, yeah, I'd even made mine by the time I was 30. So I'm like, all right, I get it. So what? It's that mindset of breaking tradition. When you find people who are not tied in to technology. So example, smartphone business, that's huge, but it's the technology. You have the My Financial Work service. That means your daily budget tracker, your credit monitoring, all of that, debt payoff plan, you can just go to your smartphone and log into the My Financial Work service and handle your business on the fly. Then I look at the expansion plans for even that, and I'm like, wow, the idea I was reading some notes I put down. I'm like, this is supposed to be such an enormous plan that it's like even your gas mileage, you know, you can just type in from here to here, and then just like a navigation system. And I'm like, wow, I wrote that down. I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure this happens in My Financial Work plan. So if I'm putting in my point, so I'm not calculating miles. Navigation does that. I'm just saying, hey, I'm leaving my house at this time because it's all a part of the schedule, and I have a meeting at the Nicollet Inn at this time. Boom, going. But now it already told me how much I drove. You get that? That simplifies bookkeeping. So now I go and I put in my daily budget tracker because I'm eating, and it's like I did that, and now that added in. So when if you ever get an audit, then all you do is go to your system, you hit print, and it says all of your appointments, everything is all put together. And I'm like, that system does not exist. So I get excited on stuff like that, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. That was supposed to happen at rep point this amount. And I'm like, oh, we got so many people, and y'all, and we can shoot each other freight that say, you know, we had a call one time where it's going to be a certain amount of people going to do a certain amount of stuff, and they're going to do it. The next week, the people stepped out. And then for me, it's what tells me this. It is right up. It's about money. I'm just going to put a meal. Anyone who says they truly want to be a millionaire functions different. It isn't personal stuff at home. Can't do that. You know, you just got to go and research that. That means there's a support system, you know, at home that allows you to go do it, but you got to do it. So my thing is, I'm like, well, Paulie, I got to make sure I don't get off my goal. I got to make sure I stick to my dream for the success of the company, which ultimately carries down to the success of the individual representative, which is to create millionaires. So connecting with your goals to make them a reality. Dreams should become goals that are lived out in our daily realities of life. You have to have that dream written down, at least that first one. And then you have to look at it, because here's the difference. If you believe in that vision, then now you're going to take all the steps to get there. But if you don't truly believe in that vision, then any excuse can come in. It doesn't matter. Someone can pop up and call you at the last minute, and it's like, I'm probably the worst to do that, because I'll tell you, it's like, hey, I got to go. You know, I remember I had especially in the heyday, you know, you get your heyday when people go, oh, Paulie, you just stopped over, man, see what you're up to. I'm like, man, I live out here where the firefighters are volunteers. You just don't pop up in my house, you know, and it's just like, you got your kids, and y'all happen to have your swimsuits too. Ain't that something? I'm sorry. We are leaving. This actually happened with a FEMTRO. Just go keep it straight with you. Actually got mad at me. Oh man, we can't stay and swim. I'm like, dude, the last time you was here, you stole my rollerblades. This is real. So some people you look at, you be like, no, actually, all you had to do was call, and I'd have told you that it's that. And I'm like, and I don't even know this girl you with and these other kids, so Nah, you ain't coming out to my house just to, and I ain't gonna be here. So in other words, when you have a schedule, you have a plan, you have a dream, you have to be a bulldog. You're going to make some people mad at you. If you are passive and just a people pleaser, business, not just this business, business is not for you. There are going to be some people you're going to have to say, no, that's not the plan. You have to go. You have to turn your dreams into goals through action. And I look at it as like, wow, all a person has to do is just go speak to 3 people a day and play the numbers. How many played the numbers last Wednesday? What up, Sharonda? How you doing, girl? I know that traffic would beat you up, huh? Everybody else had to be in traffic too. Think about that. I had a manager one day do me that way at Foot Locker. I said, man, it was snowing out there. He said, it snowed for all of us too. I'm like, that's a good point. I said, but you have to be here. I was smart enough. So, yeah, that's the difference. You have to be here. I don't. Anyway, turn your dreams into goals. Do action. Action is important. So if we don't take action, plan to succeed. Take some action. This right here is the key. We have to make sure we're doing less talking about success and less doing the plan, putting into places. Like when that video showed you how you can't put a circle into a square. You know, you got to make sure everything fits. So when you're working with people, you're saying, wait a minute, you said you want here, but your actions are that of a person that's in poverty. Mm-hmm. We have to be mindful of that. Some people through emotion say, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then for me, I always say, give them some time. Sometimes you don't, it takes a day for some people. It's like, wow, you quit in a day. And it's like, do you realize that everything actually works if it actually has a success plan, which is up to the people to work it? I mean, go look up the success story of the guy who sold pet rocks. Who would have thought? Talk about zero overhead. You go outside with your kids and you grab rocks and whatever, you shine them, you with a magic marker, make a smiley face to look like a little animal, you varnish it and you sell it at little, Cracker Barrel type places. People are going and it's like, and they're multi-millionaires because of that. Y'all get my point. So we have to be mindful of the mindset, and that whatever that gene is in a certain group of people that says, yeah, I know I'm around success. I know everything about success, because I know a lot of people who study and know everything about success, especially in the network marketing industry. And I don't even mean to put it on network marketing industry, because if you take the network marketing business model and then you place it with any corporation business model, it's the same thing. Once I actually had a guy show me that one day, it was years ago, and I was like, what are people tripping on? It's like every successful big business looks like the network marketing model. And I'm like, oh, so basically to leverage yourself and actually truly gain financial success, you have to do it this way. So those who do it, you always have the guy at the bottom, and they'll say, well, the guy at the bottom always loses. No, the guy at the bottom didn't work his way to the top. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. Sometimes people don't want to take responsibility to say, I was not willing to work my way to the top. Because the company I was with was 11, 12 years old already when I got in. People, even reps in the company, had told me, oh man, the big money's already made. But yet I'm the fastest in the company's history to go from 0 to $1 million. But I was told the big money was already made. But do you know what I really did? The same thing I do with my own kids now. If someone's speaking against the will of the vision that I want, then I grab them and say, hey, we can't listen to that. We got to go over here. Y'all hear this? Then from there, you know what they said? Paul Jones is selfish. He's only about himself. He's not telling us what he's doing. It's like, no, you guys were speaking negative words. You're telling the people, because all it takes, if I can just convince you that you'll be a millionaire, guess what? You're actually going to be a millionaire. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's easy. But if somebody else, as I say, you can be a millionaire, and then somebody else say, yeah, but that's not realistic, then Whenever you get in a struggle, you hear, because we go to that weak point, you hear what the other guy said, it's not realistic. And then you're like, well, yeah, Paulie can speak, he's a special person. And then you start giving that individual more credit. I'm like, no, don't give me too much credit. Give my legs the credit, my work ethic the credit, but don't give me the credit. Y'all get the point? So what causes us to dream? Causes us to dream is our dreams are releasing unexpressed emotions. So generally our dreams can be seen as references to how we felt throughout the day. Whenever you went through that day and you worked hard, then you start dreaming like, man, it would be nice to just have a house like this. It'd be nice to just go home to this right here. It'd be nice to be able to go shopping for my family and just buy whatever we want. That's a dream. Here's the thing. Everything that you can imagine, I don't care how crazy it sounds. Some people may say I'm crazy for making this statement, but everything that you can imagine is possible for you. Because the word of God says he can do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can imagine or think. So if I can imagine something huge and crazy just because a certain individual can't see you in that light, he can imagine greater than that. So you can't even think your brain, that blood coming out your ears and eyes, if you try to think on that level. Men cannot think on that level, but let's look at it. Somebody put some wires and caused a light bulb to shine. But at one time, you could only imagine a candle. Today, Marquise and others can watch me online. But years ago, they would have called it via satellite, and it would have been a huge network satellite TV truck outside. Now we just have a little network. You see this? It cost us nothing to do this. 20 years ago, if I'd have said I want to broadcast live, the same broadcast would have cost us in the 20s of thousands of dollars. Somebody imagined it. Do y'all get this? So today, what is it that you imagine about? And then that faith walk has to be there. Our brain will create a scene that is almost metaphorical from our real life. You can see it. See, I already see me living a life. My little guy, I can just speak on him. And when we went to, you go to big water parks, there are these big bowl things. You see it and you come out in the tube and then it's going around and then eventually you drop down into another thing and slide down. He wants one of them in the yard at our house. So he calls it a toilet bowl. So I said, well, one day we're probably gonna move. He goes, well, can we get the toilet bowl like next to the pool? I'm like, man, that thing is a lot of money, PJ. So, and I'm like, you know what, man, keep that spirit. That's right. So, because I couldn't imagine it. I'm looking at this big old water park bowl, multicolored thing in my backyard because I couldn't imagine it. He could. When I spoke against it, he said, so what? And I'm like, you know what? That's what God would say. Real talk. Man, that's going to cost a lot of money. Would you doubt me? So he's like, and he's looking at me like, so what, Dad? You Paul Jones. Do what you do. Get the money. And you think about that. I'm like, right, man, shoot, man, we get the toilet bowl. But you know what? I'm talking with him. And he's like, yeah, Dad, we had that. And Dad, we had a football field. I'm like, that's right, PJ. It's like, right, if you can imagine it, then you must be willing to plan it, keep the dream. And all I was like, you know what, son, keep dreaming like that. Because at that point, I even caught myself, I was about to adjust his dream. No, you can't do that. Dreams occur in 4 stages of sleep. REM stage is that good part of sleep, deepest of all stages of sleep. It's difficult to wake a person up once they're in that dream stage. So they in there and you might see their eyes and whatnot, muscles don't move, but the eyes do. They up in there just in a good dream. And matter of fact, you'll get mad if somebody wakes you up like, oh man, I was having a good dream and all that. What you do that for? Studies show that the longest dream a person has is more likely to occur in the early hours of the morning. Start each of your mornings reviewing your business goals and dreams, energizing your day. It's why when I wake up, if you come to my house, now it's a BlackBerry, but back in the day, it was a pen and a pad. When I would wake up, I would start writing because some of my craziest thoughts would come fresh right then and there. So, and some of you who are on my text network, you get a text at 4 or 5 in the morning from me saying woo woo woo. You know, and it's just you be laying there. It's like, you know what? You only broke because you made yourself broke. Somebody might want to debate that. I'm like, you know what, Paul Jones, you only can't do what you can't do because you didn't do the things that you should have did when you should have did it. You know, you just got to check yourself and be like, wow, I can't do what I want to do because I didn't do what I was supposed to do when I should have been doing it. It's like those little basic thoughts come. You got to be on it. People who don't have enough REM sleep, or what we call dream time, are often anxious, irritable, and depressed. It's like, oh, I ain't sleeping. You ever met some of them? They don't sleep. They got all kind of problems. They're irritable. It's always somebody else's fault. It's like, man, chill. Go to sleep. Get into that dream stage of your life. And then, I mean, think about it. Wake up that next morning and be energized and like, you know what? I know it's going to be hard. I mean, that's what we got to face up to. See, I look at this right here. This is, I'm going to do this to people get it because it's so crazy. You just break it down. I'm a personal believer that it's impossible to not get a rep. It's just impossible. You don't get a rep because you didn't attempt to speak to someone that week to get them a rep. Or, as that video showed before, you're talking to a person who's telling you all the no's and you're trying to convert them into a yes. So you have a circle and they're a square. You have to be mindful of that. So you just like, you know what? Anybody that's going to do something, I promise you, they're going to do it. Do you get this? Just learn the psyche of man. If I did anything, I recognized that I was in the people business and that people who want to do something, do it. I don't care what it is. I've seen it. When a person makes their mind up that they want to get promoted on that job, their work ethic is even different. You're like, wow, you actually want the promotion. You know, so when I was at Taco Bell and managing the folks, all of a sudden I have a guy come in one day and I remember he said, my girlfriend's pregnant. I'm gonna really have to start really looking at the shift manager position and start making some more money and whatnot. I'm like, all right. I would call him in. Hey man, somebody just called and said, "Will come in?" Yes. And like at one time we couldn't get this guy to come in off the shift. And I'm like, wow, it's a character change. So I didn't realize it then, but now I think back and it's got an Aaron. I was like, Aaron, as a matter of fact, we tell him, hey, you're at 40 hours. He's like, okay, well, I'll do overtime. This company will approve it. And I'm like, he instantly said, I'm gonna be a dad. And if all he knew was Taco Bell, he was going to be the best Taco Bell employee there was. And you know what? Later, come to find out after I left, he even became a general manager. So I'm like, wow. But for us, you turn on one customer, I'm gonna put my financial work. Keep it simple. Then from there, you bring on 3 people. What those 3 people do? Turn on my financial work. That's it. I want you to think about how silly and crazy that is. Then now, I've always said our service is relevant to daily life, so it's really not like you're selling it. Every person 18 and over has a credit score. Every person 18 and over at some point have to pay taxes. Those 2 points right there should be worth the $29.95 per month. You got to do it. So what we're really doing is we're more so educating the person, which would be you, because you're the customer. You're using the service, you're educated. Now you're educating those 3 of the value of, hey, right now, it's not about you having good or bad credit. You're 18. You get my point? But it's making sure as time goes on, you do not fall into the trap of, oh man, if I'd have known this, I'd have known that. You have to eliminate any obstacle of failure. So you get them the information. Now, as they get this, then it should click like, huh. So all I do is tell 3 people, and all they do is tell 3 people. You make a minimum of $5,000 a month. If you're a senior director, and you do this, you might as well say that's $7,000 a month. Do you get this? Actually, it will be 12. I'll tell you why. Because the 5,000 is coming just from the 7th level. You got the 1,500, which is coming, but you got the other 2% because you're seeing director, and it goes unlimited levels. Y'all see this? So I'll just say minimum, you're $7,000 a month. So now when a person says, oh, I didn't really have that time and I need to go do this and that, my question will always be, do you make $5,000 to $7,000 a month? It's like, no, well, that explains it. All you got to do is show 3 people how to make $5,000 to $7,000 a month. Well, man, people are tripping. Let them trip. You can't discourage me from making $1 million? Did I have people quit on me? Yeah, quit, fool. I know it works. Get out the way, right? Kick them onto the curb. Paulie, can I just have a meeting with you? No, I can't even put you on my schedule. It's like, why? It's forward moving action and backwards moving action. I'll never participate in backwards moving action. I found that to waste my time every time. It's like, look, you want to make some money? Yes. What's your dream? What's your goal? I'm going to interview you. You're not going to interview me. I know what works already. I'm sorry, I'm arrogant. Get cocky. So I already know what works. I'm saying, what do you want? Would you like to have a car paid for? Oh, this person also has Escalade in a trip. You see the value of that. So when you get things like that's all you're doing, then if they mess around and order a box of steaks, you make $120,000 a year. For 100, I didn't even forget the 20,000. For 100,000 a year, for real. Come on, for real. You won't just follow directions and say, look, I'm not going to play with you. For 100,000 a year, coaches get fired in the NFL, right? And even college level, they're like, look, we need a winning team. You need to recruit some better people, some better players, or we're gonna have to let you go. You have to have that attitude of a winner. So as we go on, we have dreams for the purpose of replenishing our brains. If you don't motivate yourself, you're gonna get bombarded with a whole bunch of negative stuff. And then the line that I hear, man, Paul, people out here don't want nothing. I'm sorry, I do not subscribe to that attitude. What you just said is you don't want nothing. Thank you for enlightening me, because I can't say people don't want nothing, because that irresponsible statement would go back 17 years ago when a guy came up to me and handed me a card and he said, Paulie, you don't want nothing. Y'all see that? A total stranger handed me a card and said, you make some real money, call me, and walked off. It took me 3 months to call him. I called him because I wanted to buy a home. I got turned down on buying a home. So in other words, I had a dream now. You get this? It goes right back to that dream. Had I not wanted anything more in life, I'd never picked the phone up. I already had a girl. You understand me? I had that already. So it wasn't like, I ain't even needing more money. Women wasn't a problem for me, Brother Fred. You understand, Wallace? I was like Mr. Franklin over there. I'll let your boy. I had a place to stay. You know what I mean? I was a manager at this place. So it's like on that level, I looked good. I was in shape, so I wasn't lacking nothing. But it was my daughter. I looked at her and I was like, man, at my little level of living, I'm like, this girl's kind of hot. That girl's kind of hot. They both like me. It's like, that's cool. I got a little money in my pocket. She buys me everything. I'm just telling you the truth. That's exactly how it was. One time I had one girl that I loved and one girl that would buy me anything I wanted. I don't care. Hey, baby, I need new tires on my car. All right. Right? You've been there, Brother Locke. You understand me, Jay Lee. You get it? It was like, so I only tell you that to say, I traveled the world. I worked with NFL football players besides of managing the Taco Bell. I road managed for recording artists. Y'all see this. I'm on tour buses. I'm in stadiums. In that little world, I was broke. Don't get it twisted. But I lived like a star anyway. Can y'all see the mindset at that point? So my daughter comes into the world, and then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, I got to take care of you. And something hit me. And it was the desire not to be like my own father. I was like, you know what, Paul, you was in school and you had to call your dad and you didn't know him that well anyway. And he said, well, son, if you come home to Rockville, Illinois, I'll let you stay with me. Now here I am, 19. I left in 89, the height of the crack cocaine game. My top friends are in prison right now. I'm just being honest with y'all. We're in a Rockville, Illinois, Chicago, Aurora, Illinois area. People don't get it. I'm like, oh man, I had an angel. This dude telling me, come back to hell, work a job, save the money, I can live with him for free, and then come back. I'm like, no, I knew the area too well. I knew the girls too well. I knew the hustle all too well. I would have came back all right, but I probably wouldn't have went back out to school. So I called my uncle, and he's like, boy, don't you come back here. You see, you learn responsibility through certain people. We have to have certain people that would say, you know what, this guy would have said come back, but this guy never amounted to nothing in life. This guy said, don't you dare come back here, because this guy understood what could happen if I came back. You know, and it was only $3,000 or $4,000. You know, I think back about it, but it's like, that was a lot of money to me in 89. So he takes care of it and said, boy, remember like yesterday, you don't graduate, I want all my money back. And he has that certain voice that would just put chills in you like that certain. I'm glad. I looked at my daughter and I'm like, oh, okay, I can't have her going off to college and within the first quarter already calling home saying, if this money don't get out here, you're gonna get kicked out of school. Let alone the boy got in college. Do you get my point? It was like, I look at that cycle and I'm like, man. So now all of a sudden, because some guy hands me a car, the desire, and you know, we always say this thing that, you know, God is never one, but he's always on time. So it's like, I got the car. Then all of a sudden I had the ambition to buy a house and the solution was already there. It was in my ball. It was in my court. I look at that the same way in this business now. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna be busy. Football season started. It seemed like it just popped up on me. And I'm like, you know what? And at the same time, I'm like, Sharonda, you need to become a millionaire. But you gotta want it for you. I know I can show you the ropes. Brother Franklin, you gotta do it because you Dr. Wallace Franklin. You period. You just walk up to him with that smoothness and you will be like, look, I know you don't make some money. I know you do. You got that certain swagger about you. It's something that when I grow up, I hope I'm as cool as Wallace. That's why I pick on him all the time. Like, that's right there. Lord, bless me like that. You know, the dude, he put a suit on, he walk in there and like, hey, baby. You know, I see where you lean his head to the side. I'm watching. Mental, physical exhaustion occurs when the brain is unable to express emotion in a dream situation. People who can't dream are irritable. When you meet an irritable person, they don't have a dream. Get away from them. Irritable people will destroy you. They become victim mindsets. They will tell you nothing works. We have to, I study all this psychological stuff because I'm like, I'm in the people business. And then I use common sense. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Because usually whenever I meet a person, they want to tell me about the hood. I'm like, man, the hood, I come to the realization is always going to exist. I just can't be a part of it. You know, and I have to teach my kids not to be a part of it. Period. Are you stuck in a dead end? Or are you unable to express your desires and unable to connect with your dreams? When you meet a person who's been beat up on so bad in society and life, because it happens, and you're speaking to them, they have to at least be willing to raise their hand. When you see a ball player or anybody that's down, and they carry them out on that stretcher, and you see them raise their hand, that's enough motivation for that crowd to be like, and the rest of the team be like, we're going to do it for him. That boy that broke his knee or leg in a basketball game, after that, his team rallied. You know, they was going to lose that game. All they do is like, break the leg, man, so we can get motivated. So some of y'all need to break a leg. Do you go about your daily life just like getting by from one day to the next, all the while saying your dreams and goals for someday? Someday I'm gonna do this. Someday. That's a pet peeve now. That's why I put that there. Someday. I'm like, man, it's today. I mean, all we gotta do is go out, and then we'll find out, man, people ain't trying to hear this. Man, yes, they are. There are people walking around right now who just don't know you exist. There are people who are broke, and it's your fault. That's probably the realest thing you said all day, because you didn't speak to them, or you gave up on them too fast. You have to say, look, this is what we're doing. Meet me here at this time. Let's go. Because other than that, it's why, I mean, think about it. A drill sergeant, his job is to get those soldiers in gear. That's why they walk in the barracks with the can and the big spoon, and they're clanging it. Get up, get up. Don't they do that? Then from there, they make you get up, get dressed, get moving, do this, do that. And you're like, whoa. Why? Because they realize once you get out there, you cannot procrastinate. You cannot slow down. When that drill sergeant says turn right, turn left, duck, do whatever, you must do it because it's equated to your life, your survival of life. So we have to be the same way. But they say, oh man, I'm gonna get up later. You already did, like I showed you in the Matrix. It's like, have arrogance, but have it in a forward-moving way. You know, I choose to have absolute determination to excel in everything I do today. Nothing can stop me from achieving my goals. I am determined to be my best today. Do you actually believe you can make $5,000 to $7,000 a month? Those who actually believe that, the first goal would be to get to senior director. And then from there, go build like crazy. Our system has always been designed for the beginning people, not just the top guys. Then, even when you get to ESD, go create other ESD because now there's a third generation breakaway. So when you understand, it's like, wait a minute, I get a cut, and then I get a cut. Add a few percentages to $1 billion. You know, add a few percentages to 100 million. If somebody came in on your 50th level and got to the top and became the #1 income owner in the company, but you're the ESD over them, you're still getting an override. So I'm like, if people are playing with the numbers like I play with them, I'm like, all you gotta do is tell your 3 people to come up. You know, oh, girl, you know how that stuff works. What, credit? You know how credit works? You know how taxes work? If you have to pay taxes, you have to pay credit. Daily budgeting, debt paying off plans, great. But let's just be real. Taxes and credit. We should be able to just say, all we have is a credit monitoring system at $29.95 a month. And if that was it, number one, it would save us money. But if that was it, do you realize that there are credit monitoring services for $29.95 a month that does not pay you? That company has over 8 million customers now. You picture me as a CEO of a company, knowing a company does not pay regular everyday people anything, and they have over 8 million customers. And I'm sitting there like, do we want to be wealthy? You know, Jesus asked God, do you want to be made well? Because you sitting by the pool of Bethesda too long here. You gotta do that. And that goes to make them a reality. Those are dreams with deadlines. If you don't put a deadline on it, and that deadline, I mean, mention, you know, I always teach words. Deadline, meaning it's going to happen by this date, period. By this day, I'll be at this level. By this day, I'll be at this level. Then that means I have to put this amount of time in also. I have to recruit this many people per day also. So I've always taught every second of a minute, every minute of an hour, and every hour of the day, you're spending money. So therefore, how do you combat that? That means every second of a minute, every minute of an hour, and every hour of the day, you must be making money. You get that? Or doing the things to make money. Now, for 2 or 3 years, say you're going hard at doing this. Do you realize, here's what belief comes in. Work hard consistently, 30, 40, 50 hours a week, say for 3 years straight. And then all of a sudden, 3 years later, you don't have to do nothing. But it means you properly train those people to do the exact same thing. Now you're sitting there and you have an override and you're making $40,000 or $50,000 a month. $100,000 a month is more realistic. And we drop our own positive Netflix show or system. Y'all get my point? And all of a sudden, even if it's just $8, you know, and you're getting a percentage of that, but it's based off of hundreds of thousands of people a month. And it's just like, whoa, now you got some sizzle. You get this electricity. So don't be impressed with other companies, because I'm not. We could be in electricity right now. We could have the same thing. Anything I've seen another networking company have, I'm like, I can get it too. I've actually had companies that call me, oh, you guys really, I mean, electricity will take you guys to this other level. And I'm like, you know what, food would take us to the other level, but we have to go get people convinced to eat. You see this? What's the number one thing that people are going to do whether they like it or not? In the dark, you're going to eat. Even without electricity, you're going to eat, right? So I'm sorry, I'm going to bet on food then. But I'm letting you see the vision of why you go put in the time. Because if I'm saying with just one little service, so I'm starting at the beginning, boom, $29.95 My Financial Work. You build that system, everything's going good. You make $5,000 a month. But here's the crazy part. You make $5,000 a month without the perfect system. It's just like if you got a group of 500, they're putting 50 in, you're making $5,000 a month anyway, because the residual and the bonus money. Y'all got that? Mm-hmm. So your personal goals can become a reality and sooner than you think by believing in yourself and taking decisive action. Even if it's one small step at a time, you can wake up some day or one day soon and find that you're living the life of your dreams. And I'm telling you, it'll happen without you even realizing it, because you'll be so caught up in the work, the daily. Here's the thing, and my wife reminded me of this as I was driving back. She said, "You remember the days when we probably wouldn't even see you on a Saturday?" And I was like, "What you mean?" She said, "Because your day would already be booked. You leave trading and go do in-home presentations." And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You sure would." You know, it's like, yeah, that's how it was. Training, everybody was at training. Imagine 300 something people. I'm telling you what it looked like. 300 something people at a training. I'm training. My buddy Justin's training. We're doing his thing. We're rocking. And after the end of the day, he gets in his Porsche, drop top Porsche. This kid, I mean, Justin was like 23, 24. You remember that? Drop top Porsche and all that. I'm like, we called him Richie Rich. You know, he's hitting the road, going to do his presentations, him and his wife. You know, I had that big dog. You understand me? I got my 760. I was rolled out there like, boom, with that jazz on. I don't know what y'all ain't like nothing but jazz or smoothness. I ain't want no, or the Isleys or something like that. I'm shooting straight. Because when you got in that big joker, I mean, it was suede seats, like basketball, caramel color leather. I mean, the car was just so, ooh, I get goosebumps thinking about that bad boy. I'm like, you get in there, you don't slam the door, you just pull the door up. And it's just, oh, man. Everybody else looking at you. You got your drink sitting in the refrigerator because in the middle. Then you have the drop top table down, so your laptop, your foot thing for your bottom, like they put it in this car. And it's like, I got my reps, and they wanted to set it for me just to pull up in that bad boy. You know, then I had them custom 20s on me. Oh, man. That car was so sharp. But you know what? I would get home at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, exhausted. But we'd be assigned to all kind of people at $500 a rep. So when I see this at 30, I'm like, and then I go and I see all my other buddies and still signing people up at 500 a rep. I'm like, the only difference is they're in tune with their dreams. They're in tune with their goals. They're in tune with people who are in tune with their dreams and their goals. So all we're really doing is we're just saying, hey, dream, come here. And you're pulling that dream in, and you're not allowing anyone to snatch that dream away from you. That's it. So the good news is, even with large goals, you can get yourself on the right track by consistently allocating a little free time toward these goals. When people say they don't have time, it's not that they don't have time. It's not that they don't have time. It's that they don't want to make time. So we have to be mindful to get with people who are willing to pay the price, first of all. So I promise you, people don't have a money problem. They have a mental problem. I say it all the time. Whenever you tell somebody, hey, we need money for this, somehow they come up with the money. If a person can't come with $250, let's be real. And I know that the leading companies are charging double that. And if they can't come with $250, It's because they're not in tune with the dream and the goal. I only tell you of the vision that when people say, oh, this company has electricity, electricity is only available in 11 states. You know, it's not available even in the state of Minnesota. So I'm like, well, if 75% of my rep base is here, why am I going to be like electricity? Can we just use business common sense? But I bet y'all eat today. You know, it's not even available here. So most of the companies right now are going around, oh, electricity's coming. I'm like, it ain't here. So what we have to do is build a sales organization anyway, right? You got to build it anyway. Let me build it with something that you can eat off of, literally. So I get this, I get these calls, oh, Paul, these text messaging services, this and that. And I'm like, man, text messaging one day is going to be totally free. Can't you see where it's going? So it's like, even though it's like every time a person sends a text, you get, I'm like, man, I have unlimited text messaging. So how are you going to be able to charge for that? It's like, right. So you want me to now go and pay for text messaging service, but I got unlimited? That don't make sense. But people are trying to come away. So I'm like, you know what? Let's level with it. You have to pay taxes, aren't you? Everybody you know, 18 and up, got to pay taxes, right? Let's just keep it simple. Go ahead and pay them taxes. You know, go ahead, girl, go ahead and get that. So, number one, clarify your goals. That's it. Know that actually, when you got the group, know what you want. Instead of thinking of your goals as vague ideas, determine exactly what you want. If you want money, how much do you want? Bam, bam. I'm saying a senior director should be $5,000 to $7,000 a month. I'm saying an executive director should be $10,000 to $12,000 a month. But I also know the time commitment that must be put in to get it. You get that certain group of people. Then from there is Escalades and Benzes come with it, as well as trip. And I'm not to shoot y'all straight. I like to travel. I like to do stuff, like fun stuff, and I have champagne taste, and I ain't planning on no beer budget. I like nice stuff. I'm the type of guy that would land a helicopter on a boat and get off that bad boy like, what? You know, so like, he just had to land a helicopter on the boat. Yeah, I just had to. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Right? So I've given in to letting people intimidate me. I don't do that anymore. It's like they be like, hey, I like nice stuff. I'm so arrogant. I put my name on my clothes. You get that? So it's like, so don't even come there like, oh, boy, you think you can do that? Yeah. It's like, I'm the next Mark Zuckerberg. I know what's coming soon. Make a solid plan. So from there, the planning phase is very important. This is where you figure out how you're going to get what you want. Person ain't sitting down and plan. See, think about it. You get with a rep, they're in. You say, oh, we got to get together and make some calls. Nah, you got to get together and find out what they want to make sure it's worth your time to make the calls with them. I'm like, oh, I'll tell you, I'm not picking up my man Wallace, but I tell him when the man say I got to speak to my wife, I'm like, he's in his pants up from the back. I ain't never met a player, and I'm just saying, I've been around a long line of them who needed to go speak to some woman about making some money. And I ain't never met a woman, and I've been around more than words can say, who have ever said before my man can bring money home, he needs to speak to me about it. I ain't never met them. Yeah, get that? I ain't never met a woman that's like, hold on, before you bring some money in this house, let me talk to me about it first. No, she said before you bring confusion or bills, maybe, but not money. And that means that, right, am I right? Man gonna bring money home, you lonely, be like, you ain't gonna go to jail for this argument. No, I bring the money. All right, I'm telling you, I would put boots, rubber boots on right here and shovel up manure if they're gonna pay me $1 million a year. Put a little mask on, everybody like, it's stinking here. Well, what you talking about? It's stinking smell. We have a whole bunch of big nasty stain right on my forehead from wiping my hair. Like, boy, it smells good. I don't know what you're talking about. You see that car outside, you see that house I live in. You get that, so it's like, it's all tied to your goal and your dream. It's like when I'm like, oh, my wife and son and daughter, they're happy in life. Man, that's fuel for me. You get that? They ask for something, I can get it for them. If I can't, it's like right now, I'll tell you, my biggest dilemma is not my wife and kids, it's my mother. I'm like, Mama, you 73 years old. Y'all done worked all them years and you need this. The taxes coming due for the house. You gotta do that. And I'm like, oh man, I wasn't planning for that. You get my point? I'm like, you know what? Later, this is what I told myself this morning. Like, boy, just go make more money. He's like, why? Instead of trying to figure out that little maintain that little thing, you're supposed to be doing it on this level anyway. You're supposed to swoop in like, boom, boom, boom. I got the house, I got the boat, I got everything. There you go. I got business to go handle. Don't put your mindset down and taking care of little. Put, as they say, shoot for the stars. You land on the moon, you still won. So that's why I look at it like, yeah, I got big stuff to do. It's like, wait a minute, I'm like, she need a new Cadillac. Let me put myself in that mindset. Versus saying, well, what's wrong with the one I gave you? You know, put yourself on a different level. Hold yourself to deadlines. Do it. Don't allow yourself, and this is self-discipline. Everything is about self-discipline. If you don't have self-discipline, you will make an excuse for everything. You know, I believe that this will make you a millionaire, me personally. So therefore, that means your schedule and what you do on a day. Tuesday night is not just get to the meeting on Tuesday night. Tuesday night is you couldn't wait for the meeting to come because you did so much that you're like, all right. You know, it's kind of like that slot machine. You pull it and the numbers start falling. You get there because you know you done did so much and it's turning. So you're going to see boom, boom, boom. Okay, here we go. Next week, pull it again. But keep on going. Give yourself a reasonable amount of time to achieve each step and hold yourself accountable. When the going gets tough, just picture that big payoff. You'll enjoy it and get past your hurdles and achieve your goals. It's real simple. Look at the average retiree today. Is that the life you want? Period. That's all I have to do. I look, I'm like, I look at my mom, I look at Ed, I look at my uncle, and I'm like, they're straight, they're good, but not a single one was able to offer a dime for my daughter's college tuition. And I'm like, man, had I not stored up a little along the way, I'll be out here saying, Brother Locker, I need a hand now, Brother Jay Lee, come on, man. You get my point? You'll be doing that. And here's the valid excuse. Well, you know, my daughter's going to college now. It's hard for me. And I'm like, so you didn't plan. You knew she was going to college since she was born, right? You get that? So I'm like, oh, man. So by her junior year, I got to have my act straight. But her freshman, sophomore year, good. I mean, let's do it then, right? Be prepared to deal with setbacks. Stuff happens. People quit. People trip out. Some of the craziest things happen. Expect the unexpected. Sometimes things go away. When facing a setback, learn what you can from the situation and fight your way back into the game. Most importantly, continue to believe in yourself. Each challenge you overcome makes you stronger. I am a living, walking proof of that. It's like everything's good. I've been on the phone with people and it's like, oh, Paulie, this about to be on. I'll be a senior director by this day. I'll be executive senior director this day. The next thing you know, you get to the meeting, you're like, I thought this was gonna be giving a whole bunch of people. Like, and then you be like, this is like real talk. I'm like, then I'll be puzzled, like, oh, this dude was like, he had all these people and I even spoke to someone on the phone, and it's like, next thing you know, you got to argue with your girlfriend for real. Your girlfriend, not your wife, your girlfriend. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, you are better than me. I'm like, she'd have had to come to the meeting and just been sitting in the meeting mad at me, but I'd have been about my money. Then afterwards, I'd have had her walk home. And she would have been happy to do it. Number 5, explore your options. Never be afraid of revealing or reevaluating your situation and your goals. I do that often. You got to look at it and say, okay, I thought this leader was going to do it. I thought this leader was going to do it. And like, I got a group of folks in Illinois that just came in, but there's a leader that was down there who's been active in the business, but I'm like, I couldn't put them under that. I'm like, nope, you'll go to the Minnesota leader then. And you get my point? Because I believe in curses too. If you put a person, it's biblical. You do not put somebody with somebody who you know has a track record of not working, period. If you are working, you put the working with the working. Do y'all get this? So it's like, I can't sign people up, right? I mean, it's like, okay, who am I? I don't have a position. I mean, I guess you could say the original one would be mine, but from now, like, oh, you working, you sure? Okay, great. Go to this site, sign up. Then from there is, I'll field calls, I do everything, I help the people as much as I can. But I look at it and say, man, it's a rep not even 20 minutes away from me. But that rep let life hit him. Girlfriend tripped out on him. That's what brought this to my mindset. And the girlfriend tripping out took the leader out. And I'm like, dang, dude, I'm sorry. That could not happen with me. So now they get in this mindset that nobody around here wants to do it. And then somebody hits me up on Facebook saying, man, I need to do something. And I will go to the site, look at it. If you want to sign up and you have the money, get in. And they do it. I'm like, oh, okay, now let's talk. So I'm sitting there looking at stuff, even on Facebook, I'm like, this person, a woman down there all by herself, is like, she put a line on Facebook that made me put tears in my eyes laughing. Because she was just like, about tired of the ignorance. And I was like, now that's funny because you have to know this person. And I'm like, you have to know the person. But it's like a simple single mom, serious about life, you know, kind of rocker type, but she was like about tired of the ignorant stuff. And I was like, and I knew she had a presentation a few hours before then. And I'm like, instead of allowing people to break her, she broke them. It's like, no, I'm about tired of the ignorant stuff. That ain't how wealth is created. Then I'm looking, it's like wealth is created through leveraging people. If you have a poor man's mentality, you will think like a poor man. If you think like a poor man, don't have me be your Facebook friend no more. I'm like, you know what? But that's part of what change looks like. When you make your mind up that, you know what, enough of this. You're not even adding value to our relationship. Be serious about your goals. If you're not serious about, y'all can read it. If you're not serious about your goals, then why should anybody else be? Why should anybody else want to jump in? I'll help a person, I promise you. My name is Paul Jones. If I see a person very serious about their goals and consistent, I'm right there with them. You know, seriously, I'm gonna fight with them. I don't care. I got a buddy of mine, unfortunately, who's in prison, but he's consistent at just being a down dude. So it's like, I'd be like, hey, man, what you need, I'm always here for you. His kids, boom, here you go. There you go, kids. You know, and you get a letter from him, it's like, man, you hooked my daughter up. I ain't even spoke to you, and thank you. I'm like, well, yeah, you're good people. Break your goals into smaller pieces. Sometimes you have to do that. Celebrate as you complete each step because you're now one step closer to your dream. That means recognition. When you're doing something good, like helping that person get their first promotion or getting their first rep, do something for your rep. Help them celebrate that so everybody can see that, hey, it's working. You know, get the help you need. Sometimes you need to call the doctor. That's why I want Dr. Wallace Franklin to go ahead and play his role. Sometimes, Brother Fred, they just need to call a doctor. And when they call a doctor, he's going to tell them, you need to get 3 people. And you need to tell him to get 3 people. I just want to know how it works. Did we just say how it works? You need to get 3 people. When people keep saying, I need to know how it works, it's like, no, you don't want it to work. I mean, how does the money flow? I'm like, I don't know. Let's be real. People go to jobs all across the country. They have never went to HR like, how do y'all pay me? That blows me away. It's like most companies have a line of credit actually from a bank or something to cover payroll. And then they pay a percentage of that monthly every month. You know, they don't spend all that money from their own books. They write payroll checks from a line of credit from a bank. The average major corporation does that. And then they have what's called a surplus account. Y'all get this? Let me try to give you some free information. There are many people willing to help you reach your goals in life, whether it's someone to lean on to give you an extra confidence, push, or, that's Pastor Randy at church on Sundays for me. I go to church on Sunday and just like Pastor Randy, you fill me up, and I'm like, and then it'll spark my ideas. I'll leave there like, man, I should go do a presentation right now. But that's my family time. But I'll be wondering, like, did you know what he just said? Man, I'm about to book you all. You get 3 people right here, and you have to get 3 people. 60,000. I'm not. Think about it. If you know 10 people who want to pay taxes, and they know 10 people is going to pay taxes, if you do that, You make 40 to 50,000 a month. Just get 3 to go get 3. Everybody needs credit monitoring. They just don't realize it. It all comes down to your attitude. If you don't have a good attitude, you're gonna have a problem. You cannot, when you give up on people, you're giving up on yourself. You let people give up on you, but you don't let it bother you. You hear that? People will quit on you. You know, I remember every time I see the room full, I'm like, somebody ain't gonna be here next week. Nice to meet you. It's like, because you already know is that some are there because they're still trying to figure out the way of life instead of live life. And if we all got that confidence and consistency, the reason some people, and the ones who need to hear this line ain't here today, but the reason some people can't get ahead in life is because they don't stay consistent in the eyes of those who are watching them. The minute you sign up in this, there are people saying, okay, let me watch you. And they'll watch you. And then the minute it's not important to you no more, then they say, okay, great, I need you one serious. But when you stay consistent about it, and you're consistent, and eventually they're going to say, how's that thing going? And you got to say, oh, it's going great. I was just at the meeting the other day. It was this snack. You say, well, it's not taking off as fast as I wanted, but I'm committed to it. Wrong answer. How's it going? It's going great. You really need to take a look at this. When can we sit down again? That's the only thing. How's it going? It's going great. Because why? You shouldn't be asking if you don't want to sit down and take a look. It's going great. When can we sit down and take a look at this again? It's like, because you are missing out, my friend. And it's like, well, yeah, I got to take a look at this. Okay, how about tomorrow night be in the lobby of the Crown Plaza at 6:40 p.m.? Well, let me see. It's like, you serious about making some money? Because I'm making money now. You know, I'm making money now. Are you serious? You might not be making that much. You didn't say I'm making $10,000 a month now. You said I'm making money now. You get my point? It's like, I'm making money now. You sure you don't want to be playing around? You got to close that deal. So take it serious. Realize how simple this thing is. I do this every week, and I be like, man, it's 3 people, $5,000 to $7,000 a month. I gotta write that up for the money racing thing, but you gotta know that's not one time. That's a month. You get that going a month. You get an attitude of gratitude, as they say, and go for it. Now, without further ado, I get to bring up my good friend, Mr. ESD himself, multi-millionaire extraordinaire, William Lockett.
Y'all give us a brother Paul Jones. Y'all doing all right this morning? Y'all stretch a little bit. And I want your full, undivided attention. But do y'all really get this? It's just that simple. And to me, it's like mind-boggling. You know, when you know something is real, something is simple, the people still question and procrastinate with it. Which brings me to my training this morning. Procrastination, a silent killer. Y'all want to take a short pause for the call? Because I'm going to fly through this. Use the restroom, go ahead and do some of this with water. Then we get started back in 3 minutes. That's right, Brother Jay to the lead. That's it. Brother Fred.
Yes, sir.
Got them blue and gray lights.
That's what I was saying. That's why I said.
It's like somebody you listen, come drinking, and you put the dots together, just like, man, you get picture keep getting bigger and bigger, you know. It's
There's people keep calling us, hey, man, this company got electricity, they got this. I'm like, but it ain't here. It ain't even close to being here. They're arguing about it in Congress.
you know, I said, you said that's something else, right?
What is it?
Electricity.
He was talking about that. That's what this, because he was talking about that, because about electricity, and so we're so interested, and it's right on the front page there.
That they're not putting in. So all those other reps who are doing other companies anticipating something that's not gonna happen. I'm like, man, no waste our time in that. Bet you pay taxes. Bet you gonna eat.
Yeah.
All right, let's get rock and rolling again.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of times the training, the ideals for the trainings come from, talking with people. And as Brother Paulie was saying that, this is the people business. And that's what really has been the eye opener for me, is connecting with people, speaking with people, and getting to learn people. So as Brother Paulie was doing this training, what are the days of the week? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? Now this S and this S doesn't stand for someday, right? So someday is not a day of the week. So it's about today. What are you doing today to prepare yourself for your future? So I was talking with a gentleman last week, and just in hearing, his conversation, got me to thinking about some things. His response to me after, explained to him and he's seen the vehicle, he sounded excited. His final response to me was, well, when I woke up this morning, I wasn't thinking about doing something like this. But it made sense to him. I know how real this is and how powerful this is. But everything he was saying was in line and consistent with what this opportunity produces. And so it got me to thinking, because I'm like, you know what? That's an employee mindset. As an entrepreneur, every day to me is another opportunity. And I don't know how that opportunity is going to come. So I'm not going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to prejudge. It's like you saying, well, it has to come in a certain package. It has to, the bells and whistles, big old siren has to go off or something in order to get my attention. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm waking up and I'm walking out, in life with a constant expectation of receiving something in order to help me, move to the next stage in life. So just like, who was that? Charlie Wilson. Or Uncle Charlie, it's like, you prayed for this. How do you know that this ain't the answer to your prayer? So therefore, don't preconceive or have a preconceived notion of what it's supposed to look like, feel like, sound like. So I'm sitting like, okay, when you woke up this morning, you wasn't thinking about this, but you're calling me because there's something that you're looking for. You're seeking something. But if you're seeking something and then something presents itself, don't you at least owe it to yourself to investigate it thoroughly to discover whether or not this is what you're looking for? Rather than just saying, well, I wasn't thinking about this when I woke up this morning. So to me, it's like, okay, that's why you're where you're at. That's why you're going to stay where you're at until you begin to do something different, until you begin to put some action behind, those goals and those dreams. So a lot of times we hear people talking about what it is that they want out of life, but they're not willing to take the next step. The Word of God says that my people perish due to the lack of knowledge, right? We know that. We hear that, right? But what is it that they're not doing to gain the knowledge? They're not seeking out the information. And when they do get some information, they don't take action on it. So let's go to Ecclesiastes 11. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you find it after many days. Give a serving to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. Prepare yourself. That's what it tells me. Prepare yourself and diversify yourself, because you never know where it's going to come from. You know, to me, it is such a tragic story for an individual to invest their entire life to work for a corporation that really does not care about that individual. That corporation's concern is their bottom line, not yours, theirs. Then you have people that have subscribed to the old mindset because, you know, history has shown us that when coming out of slavery, going through the process, and then people finally being able to get some good jobs, then at that time you had company loyalty because you had employee loyalty. But now it's changed. You have an employee loyalty, but you no longer have company loyalty. So people still subscribe to their old mindset of being faithful to the company that now is looking at ways that how can we downsize? How can we increase our profit share? You know, do we divest and go to other countries so that we can pay less, you know, wages and compensation packages? But you still have that same mindset when people are committed to the company, but then they work and invest their entire lives, then retire. If they're healthy enough to enjoy the rest of their days on this earth, they really can't afford it. So to me, that's a tragic story. But that's the one that most people are familiar with. So then they're still, because they're familiar with it and because they're afraid to step out, they still work that process, hoping that it'll end up differently, but it always ends up the same. You know, as I was sharing with you guys, you know, what's going on with my mother, you know, she worked for there for over 25 years, retired, now she's sick. But then as I'm talking to other co-workers of hers, they're telling me story after story of people that's gone through the same process, you know, have worked, and once they retired, they, you know, got sick. And I'm saying like, wow. So that means that, you know, you work this system in hopes of being able to retire, to enjoy the remainder of your years. But what we're saying is that we have a system that you need to work today so that you can enjoy your life now. See, I never wanted to, you know, work 25, 30 years to get this promised lifestyle. I'd rather live the lifestyle now so that in 20, 30 years, I never have to worry about anything else. Right. But I've been living and enjoying throughout the entire time, not to put my life on hold now for delayed promise, right? Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth, and then if a tree falls to the south or the north, in that place where the tree falls, there shall lie. He who observes the wind shall not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. In other words, people are looking for the perfect conditions. As an entrepreneur, you have to have, as Brother Paulie went over this morning, goals and dreams. And that's what you stay focused on, regardless of what's going on in your personal life. And what's so sad about the story, because I'm familiar with it, about the individual that allowed his girlfriend to take him up point. It ain't even the same woman he with today. So people come and go. But you have to stay focused on your goals and dreams. I've been guilty of this, and I've gone through many relationships because I am so focused and driven by my goals and dreams that I will not allow anyone or anything to derail me or discourage me from achieving those goals and dreams. Because at the end of the day, my seed is my seed.
True.
Women, mamas, they come and go, but your seed is still your seed.
That's right.
And I'm responsible for my seed. Now, yes, I would hope, but it don't always work out that way, right? Because life happens. But I'm looking at generational. I'm looking at it from the standpoint that I'm not going to always be here. But my children, my seed will remain. So therefore, I have time now. I have an obligation now. I need to do some work now, not someday. I need to do it now, so that I'm in position, so that my seed will be able to carry it on and take it to another level. See, that's always been the ambitions of the previous generation. You know, that the next generation would surpass them, do greater things than they did, right? So it's like a baton has been passed. You know, they've done their part. They did their work. You know, Brother Paul, you're telling a story about Uncle Willie, right? Uncle Willie did his part to be in a position that when he needed him and called on him, you know, to help him out while he was in school, he had that baton to pass on to him, say, hey, okay, nephew, I'm gonna give you this. Now you keep it going. Don't come back here. Don't turn around. Don't come back. You know, keep moving forward in life. You know, to me, that's an obligation that we all have to pass that baton on to the next generation. You know, I never subscribed, well, I had to work hard to get mine. No, I don't want my children to have to do work, study, and all the things that I had to do, you know, the hustle to make it through college. I want them to be able to focus on their education. Yeah, yes, they're going to make mistakes, but I want them to experience some things and make some mistakes, because in making mistakes is when you learn. But I don't want them to have to be, you know, distracted with other things that money can take care of.
Mhm.
You know, so I just have to work harder. So financially, they're in a position, so at least that worry is removed. Because to me, money is nothing but a, you know, it's currency. It's nothing but a conduit. It's nothing but, you know, a means to an end. So if that's the case, and I have still breath in this body, that means I just need to do some more work. Like Brother Paulie was sharing about his mother's situation. Well, I just need to, you know, focus on the bigger picture rather than the small issue. I need to work harder. I need to make more money so I can alleviate, you know, that issue. And so that's how an entrepreneur thinks. Because you have gifts, you have talents. You know that you have something that will produce in the marketplace. It's just a matter of you position yourself. You know, like I said, money's nothing but currency, right? So think about like a river flowing. It's flowing. Money is flowing.
Mhm.
You just need to niche out your little channel so that you can channel some of that flow your direction. But why sit there idly on the shore just watching it go by? Ooh, that sure look good. Ooh, look at all that money. No, I need to get in the flow. I need to get in the way. I need to create a dam or something, block it up. I need to channel some of that my direction, because I have some goals and dreams that are real to me. I just don't want to sit back and watch TV and watch life go by. I want to be a participant. I want to enjoy it now. I don't want to wait until, you know, 30, 40 years when I think that this is the magical time for me, you know, because this is the way it's supposed to be in order for me to feel good about the life that I'm living. Like, oh, I've worked for a company 30, 40 years, and now I'm at retirement, and then discover that you're not healthy enough to enjoy. You can't take trips and you can't do these things because you got all these doctor's appointments. But I want to enjoy life now. So if that's the case, I got to do something today,
Mhm.
not someday. So, you know, that really hit my spirit. I hope it, you know, resonating in your spirit as well. There's no someday on the calendar. You know, you got today. You got today. You need to do something today. So as you do not know what is the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of God who makes everything. And you have to be rooted. You have to be rooted in a foundation that is solid. So that's why we use biblical principles, because they work. It's real, you know. And so therefore, now you have a solid foundation which to build upon. You know, they say if you don't, you know, if you what is it? If you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything.
Yep.
Okay. So therefore, you know, you rooted in something that is solid, so that when somebody else comes along with you, you know, to you, or you know, present you with something that is different than what you know to be your foundation, then you don't receive it. You don't give time to it. You know, you stay focused. You know, you stay rooted. You know, this company is a solid company. This business is always said is something that is relevant. So people need these services. These are things that people are familiar with. We already know that there's billion-dollar corporations, and just about every one of the services that we provide. So with that being true, then that means that we have a multi-billion-dollar company.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of us going out and doing the work and spreading the word and being consistent with it. That's going to make it a billion-dollar reality. Okay? Because, like I said, these are services that are relevant that people are familiar with. So therefore, it's really about us. It's really about us, polishing ourselves, having the correct posture, the confidence that is going to attract people. Okay? And so never, don't allow yourself, don't allow your mind, to trick you. Because you have two individuals that, stand before you today that have gone through, a process to get to where we're at today in life. And trust me, it was a process that when we started out, even though we didn't know each other when we started out, come together later in life, but there's a similar pattern, where you was challenged, you met adversity, there were difficult times, but you was always focused on the goal and the dream. And because you was always goal oriented, that you always stay focused on that, then one day you wake up and you're at your destination. But along that process, if either one of us would have got discouraged and quit, it was like, man, this is too hard. Maybe that was just nothing but a wishful thought. Why should I think that I can live like that? You know what? What everybody is saying is so true. I just need to stay in my lane. I just need to, I need to aspire to become the general manager of Taco Bell.
Right.
I need to go ahead and get me one of those corporate jobs because I have a college degree. Then we wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be here today.
Right.
So also realize a personal responsibility that your success just isn't for you, that your success is tied to other lives. So like I said, there is a personal responsibility that all of us must accept. So when you look at it from that point of view, then you're not being selfish, okay? You want to be giving because it's not just about you, but it's about the people that we can help. So when that becomes your motivation, that becomes your driving force. I don't know about you, but I get energized when I think about the things that I can do for people. I get excited about helping people. That gives me personal joy and satisfaction to be able to help somebody. Because I've discovered that in that process of helping others, God always provides. I've always been, I coined myself as being a conduit or a magnet for money, right? Always. Money's always been coming to me, ever since I was just a little boy. And I was always giving. And sometimes you wouldn't get it back. But I never got discouraged. It never, created any calluses on my heart or my spirit to say, well, I ain't gonna give to nobody because the last time I gave to somebody, they didn't give it back to me. I learned something in that God covers you. He's got your back. Where somebody else may not repay you, but then God always finds a way to replenish you, to give you more, so that you are always in a position to give to somebody else. The only thing that they ended up doing, and what I discovered, is that they play themselves. You don't get played, because when you do it as unto the Lord, God is always faithful to give back to you, so you always have an abundance, to be a blessing. So as the word says, he gives seed to the sower. So if you're a sower, then God is responsible to continue to give you the seed. Okay? But if you're a hoarder, or if you're just a consumer, and you constantly eat your seed, then you can't be trusted to receive more. Then you got to work harder. I don't like working hard. Then you got to work harder.
Right.
You got to work harder. You got to come up with some kind of way to get some more money, because you just don't seem to have enough. But when you're a giver, it's always coming from some direction.
That's right.
So in the morning, sow your seed. And in the evening, do not withhold your hand. For you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Truly, the light is sweet. It is pleasant for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man lives many years and rejoices in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. All that is coming is vanity. In other words, this stuff perishes. It's not eternal. But what we're working towards is eternal life. So therefore, don't just hoard it and just hold back. You know, be generous, because you may sow a seed over here or sow a seed over there, and because you diversified yourself, now it's coming in multiple directions back to you. You know, going back to the job illustration, when you're sowing your life into one basket, and to say putting all your eggs in one basket, then that's the only source that you or potential that you have to come back to you. But then we see that again, there is no longer company loyalty, you know, downsizing, you know, laying people off. And what is so sad, figuring out a way when you got a person that's at the top of their pay scale, they're close to retirement, and they figure out a way to let that person go so they don't have to pay them the full pension.
Mm-hmm. And they do it.
After they done worked their entire life for this company. It is so sad. Procrastination, 10 things to know. Is your procrastination hindering you? There are many ways to avoid success in life, but most surefire just might be procrastination. Procrastinators sabotage themselves. They put obstacles in their own path. They actually choose paths that hurt their performance. 20% of people identify themselves as chronic procrastinators. For them, procrastination is the lifestyle, albeit a maladaptive one, and it cuts across all domains of their life. I mean, it's like they make excuses for everything. You know, I'm always late. Well, if you're always late, do something different so you ain't always late. You know, that burns me because I'm a stickler for time.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you I'm gonna be somewhere at a certain time, man, I'm doing everything that I can to be there on time, because I respect your time and I respect my time. So therefore, you have to plan accordingly. So maybe you have to watch the news to see if they're, you know, closing 2 lanes on the highway so that you can make sure you leave early enough to make it on time. So you have to make adjustments, right? Sharonda. They don't pay bills on time. It's a pattern. They miss opportunities for buying tickets to concerts. They don't cash gift certificates or checks. They file income tax returns late. They leave their Christmas shopping till Christmas Eve. It's a characteristic. Now, don't raise your hand, but can you relate? You know, are you guilty of some of this? Those are signs of procrastination. 2, it's not trivial. Although, as a culture, we don't take it seriously as a problem, it represents a profound problem of self-regulation. And there may be more of it in the U.S. than other countries just because we're lazy. Because we are, you know, so nice, we don't call people on their excuses. My grandmother died last week, even when we don't believe them, okay? I just came back from a funeral last week, burying a cousin. He's actually like 4 months younger than me. And I'm sitting like, you know, discovered he had prostate cancer or colon cancer back in April, and he passed away 3 months later. Man, everybody needs to go have a check. They say after 40, go, you know, every year to have a check. But as I was saying with my mother, my cousin, Harley's sister, you know, when somebody close to you passes away, life becomes more real. You know, you take things a little bit more serious because, you know, so long as it's further removed from you, it's like it doesn't really hit home. Right. You know, so we still got to work now. We got to work even harder and faster because, you know, we don't know the time nor the day. You know, but still while there's daylight, still while we have opportunity, still while we have the activities of our limbs, the faculties of our mind, we need to be diligent about working our business, okay? Because the goals and dreams that I know that you shared and why, you know, you're committed and faithful to keep coming, are real to you. So therefore, we need to work now together so that we can do the work now that needs to be done so that we can enjoy the rest of our lives. Okay? Because like I said, it really don't make sense to subscribe to a 40-40, 40 hours a week, 40-year plan when we know it doesn't work. So therefore, we have to work the plan that we know that does work. 3, procrastination not a problem of time management or of planning. Procrastinators are not different in their ability to estimate time, although they are more optimistic than others. Like your son, that's a pattern at the break. Okay, be conscious of time. Okay, that really burns me with my children as well. Get up, get busy, stay focused, do what you need to do. Don't wait to the last second and then try to rush. Because anytime you rush, you're gonna make mistakes. I get up well enough in advance so I can take my time to do my routine. I used to sit there and watch that alarm clock. Well, I know it takes about 15 minutes to take a shower, travel time, and then get it down. Let me get that last minute of sleep. Nah, it don't work. Because what happens? You fall into a deep REM sleep. Then all of a sudden, 5 minutes become like 20 minutes, 35 minutes, and now you're late. Telling someone who procrastinates to buy a weekly planner is like telling someone with chronic depression to just cheer up. I tell them, just cheer up. Life is good. To me, it's simple. But sometimes we complicate things. But what it's saying is that, this is a pattern. This is a characteristic. So just telling them to get a planner isn't going to change anything.
Right.
So sometimes you have to sit down with people and help them to draw it out so they can see the clear picture. 4, procrastinators are made, not born. Procrastination is learned in the family milieu, but not directly. It is one response to an authoritative parenting style. Help me out there, Dr. Authoritarian parenting style. Having a harsh, controlling father keeps children from developing the ability to regulate themselves, from internalizing their own intention, and then learning to act on them. Personally, this makes so much sense to me because for years, I was mad at my father. My father was authoritarian, style, right? Dictator, my way or the highway, do as I say, not as I do. Because, he wasn't a good, role model. He didn't, lay out some good examples, but just wanted me to, do what he said rather than, emulate his style. And so when he wasn't there, because he wasn't there all the time, allowed me to make my own mistakes, allowed me to discover life on my own. And I thought about, as I became an adult, became a parent, I thought back on, I said, you know what, had he been there, it may have shaped and molded my personality different. Where maybe, the pressure trying to measure up to him and, being in shadow wouldn't allow me the freedom and the flexibility to discover my own manhood. And so, we just have to be thankful, for our situations, whatever they are. Because no matter what they are, it's really a matter of what you're going to do with your own life. Too often people use excuses. Well, this happened in my past, and this happened in my past. So therefore, this is the reason why I am the way I am. Regardless of what happened in your past, you're still here today. So it's a matter of you making a decision that you're going to change it. So I had to make a decision that I'm going to break that generational curse, of addiction and going to prison. I had to break that generational curse. So therefore, I had to make a conscious decision to do things different. Okay? Same in Brother Paulie's situation. Had his father been there, he may have been that overbearing, overshadowing, influence that didn't allow him the ability to discover life on his own. And so therefore, whatever the past is, it's in the past. Don't allow your past to cripple and hinder your future. Make a conscious decision to do things different. That's why, is with the access of the computer and the internet, you know, you can retrain yourself. You can, you know, teach yourself, get the knowledge and the information so that you can better yourself, you know, and then apply the information. You know, too often people sit back and they, you know, want to lay blame and fault, you know, I wasn't born in this, you know, family, or I wasn't born on the right side of the track, and, you know, my family's always been in poverty. But, you know, that may be true, but what are you doing to change it? You're just gonna sit back and you just gonna, you know, use idle chit chat and talk about it, or you gonna take some action to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I believe that that is the mindset of a lot of folks that you come in contact with. You know, the gentleman I was speaking to, like, well, I woke up this morning, I wasn't thinking about it. Well, you know what? You should have been thinking about it. You know, if you're not happy where you at, what are you thinking about if you ain't thinking about changing it?
Right.
If you're not thinking about, okay, Lord, I'm trusting, believing that you're going to send me a boat by to save me. And then when he sends you a law to take you to safety, you say, no, I'm sitting there waiting on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sinking, you're drowning, you're dying. But you're still looking for it to come in this miraculous package. Procrastination can even be a form of rebellion. One of the few forms available under such circumstances. What's more, under those household conditions, procrastinators turn more to friends than to parents for support, and the friends may reinforce procrastination because birds of a feather flock together. You know, you go to somebody, you know, that you know is just going to support your opinion and just be like a parrot and speaking back to you, and you looking for some truth to come from them. No. You know, just like we tell people, you know, when talking to people, you can't go to somebody that's in the cubicle next to you. You can't go to somebody that's only making $30,000, $40,000 a year and ask their opinion on something that is known to create millionaires. And they give you a valid opinion on what this business is about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hear it so often, oh, I know how those things work, or I'm familiar with that business. No, you're not. You know, you just heard about something else, and now you want to try to show your intelligence and relate it to something you think that you know about
Mm-hmm.
when you actually don't. When people come to me with that conversation, I just move on. Number 5, procrastination predicts higher level of consumption of alcohol among those people who drink. Procrastinators drink more because they want to escape the reality. Manifestation of generalized problems in self-regulation that is over and above the effect of avoiding coping styles that underlie procrastination lead to disengagement via substance abuse. Okay, you know, with me on the drug treatment program, I see this often. And I see it, people using alcohol and drugs as a way to escape the reality. They're not happy with the life they're living. They're not satisfied, but they're not taking positive steps in order to change it. You know, they're copping out. And I think fear is a number one reason why people, you know, don't act on ideals or don't take
Mm-hmm.
action to change something because of fear. Like I gave the illustration about the working for an employer. You know, fear will keep a person trapped in that system because they're afraid to step out on the unknown. Even though what they know isn't producing enough, still they find more comfort in what's familiar than to step out on something that's unfamiliar. Well, I want an unfamiliar lifestyle. I don't want the lifestyle that everybody else is living. So therefore, I have to step out on faith because I want to go in uncharted territories. I want to be that pioneer. I have that pioneer spirit. You know, I don't think like everybody else because I don't want what everybody else has. So therefore, I can't do what everybody else does. So I have to do something unique. I have to do something different. And in doing so, yes, it is frightful at times, but never allow fear to cripple you and keep you handicapped and keep you in bondage. You know, fear is not a bad thing unless you allow it to keep you in bondage, because it will cause you to go above and beyond to discover, okay, well, I need to investigate. I need to do some research, you know, but never allow it to just keep you stagnant where you're immobile and you don't want to move 6, procrastinate, tell lies to themselves. Such as, I feel more like doing this tomorrow, or I work best under pressure. But in fact, they do not get the urge the next day or work best under pressure. In addition, they protect this sense of self by saying, this isn't important, or this just isn't for me. You know, this is huge when it comes to, you know, people that want to give you their opinion on how real this business is. Oh, I did one of those things, and, you know, they're just not real. You know, those things don't work. No, the truth is that they procrastinated, they didn't do the work, and it didn't work for them. Because when you look at, you know, whatever business they were a part of, that business is probably still in existence. You know, the company is $1 billion company, so people are making money.
Right.
But they didn't make money because they didn't do the work. And so in order to protect themselves, they want to project this image onto you like, well, it's just as important, or, you know, those just don't work. And I'm gonna stop there, but I want to share something with you because, you know, what was it? 2 weeks ago, went and did the 30-year class reunion from high school, right? And an individual that was there, back in school, he was real quiet and shy. He was just observing because, you know, he was just cracking jokes at the reunion. He was telling us all about the things that we did. And I'm sitting like, I don't remember I did that. You know, but he remembered everything. He was like a recorder, just, you know, speaking it back to all of us. And I'm sitting like, wow. And he came up to me and he was like, you know, when did you get so smart? He said, I would have never imagined you'd be at the level of life that you at. Now, the week before is when I just did the Saturday training talking about the potential, you know, that you have the potential in you, right? And it just got me to thinking, because I'm sitting like, that is so real, how people's opinion of others tries to shape and mold people's future. Now, because he couldn't see it, that wasn't my reality, because the potential was always there.
Right.
But the truth of it was, when I was in high school, I was just there, you know, going to class, and as soon as the bell rang, I was downtown observing the street people, learning the street people, you know, so I didn't really interact with him or, you know, how other students, you know, their classmates on that level where they would really get to know me. But I was always about business. I was always about making money. But it became so real to me how people's opinion of others will try to shape and mold your future. Never allow others' opinion to become your reality. Because in his perception of who, you know, I was to be was so small. Now, would that give him greater satisfaction if he was right? But it gives me joy and satisfaction that I'm right, you know, because of the life I'm living. You know, so never hand over, you know, your future and the power of your goals, your dreams to others. And how do we do that? Is that when other people give us their opinion and we begin to, you know, give stock into their opinion. Oh, well, those things don't work. Oh, you're right. Just in that moment, they took control of your future, your destiny. Because you allowed their perception to become your reality and agree with them. And because you agreed with them, you didn't pursue it. You didn't work it. But anytime you work something, you pursue something, you're always moving forward. See, most people want to be right. Their impression of you, their opinion of you, they want to be right. People don't want to be wrong. You know, so therefore, prove yourselves right. Not about going out trying to prove somebody wrong, prove yourselves right. You know, the opinion that I have for my future is right for me. So therefore, I must do something. You know, I must do some work. I must, you know, consistently put forth some action that's in line with the future and the goals and dreams that I have for myself. And as you do that day in and day out, not someday, but today, what you begin to discover is that you're moving forward. And sometimes you make adjustments, but you're still moving forward. You're not being stagnant. You're not standing still. And in doing so, you go through the process. You make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, and you grow and you get stronger. See, if magically you was blessed with $1 million right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know what it takes in order to generate and create $1 million, you'll be broke in a short period of time.
Yep.
Because you don't have the real appreciation or value of the money. And you don't know what it takes in order to maintain it and grow it. So therefore, just a matter of time before you lose it. That's why don't despise the process, because the process is preparing you for something greater. And too often people despise the process, and the first sign of discouragement or first sign of struggle, they quit because they want to retreat back to something that's more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because struggle causes a conflict. It's not comfortable. But I learned to I wear struggle comfortably. You know, hey, I get excited when struggle begins to come because I've learned to discover that through that struggle, because the word of God says you're not put more on you than you're able to bear.
That's right.
So therefore, I get encouraged because I understand that this is nothing but a test. And so a test comes so that it's preparing you for something for a higher level. So therefore, God is trying to get something greater to me. So when struggle comes, I get excited because I know I'm in position for a promotion.
That's right.
So therefore, I must keep calm, discover what I need to learn, conquer this situation, and then move on to the next situation. Because I believe what the word says, and that it's taking me from glory to glory. He's taking me to a higher level. So if I believe that, and when struggle comes, and I begin to fret, the act in fear and fret, then I disqualify myself for the promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want to sabotage my future? I don't want to shoot myself in the foot.
Right.
So that's why I learned to rejoice and celebrate when difficulty comes. And trust me, it done came. And it comes. But again, you'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm the same all the time. Because that's what I discovered, the power of living this life. When you've done as much as I've done and, shouldn't even be here,
Mm-hmm.
you discover you on borrowed time. So I ain't responsible for this life now because it ain't my life no more. So therefore, hey guys, you got this situation you need to deal with over here. Let me go over here under this tree and then chill out. Let you do your thing. Rather than saying, man, what am I do? What am I do? I don't know what I'm gonna do. What am I do?
Mm-hmm.
That ain't gonna change nothing. So learn to release and grow your faith. That's what a struggle comes to do. Is just to make you stronger, prepare you for something greater. So rather than despising it, welcome it. Because it's gonna come. You know what the word says? So long as you're in this world, trials and tribulations will come upon you. But then why do people just stop there? There's a big old but. But God is able to deliver you out of them all.
Mm-hmm.
So if the first part says trials and tribulations are going to come, and when they come, you get fretful and you forget the but part, but God is able to deliver you out of them all,
Mm-hmm.
then if you get stuck at the first part because they came and you begin to worry, then you cancel out the second part. And it didn't change nothing. Your worry didn't change nothing. So that's why I learned to celebrate, because worrying ain't gonna change nothing. So with that, make sure that you get registered for Wealth Day. If you need some flyers, we have some flyers over here. Let's pack the house. Last year was the first year. We had a great time. It was a great blessing to people.
Mm-hmm.
Now people are familiar with it. Now let's blow this year up
Mm-hmm.
so that it will be a blessing to the company so that we can continue to do this.
Right.
Okay? So let's do our part to promote it, get people out there. The information's on the flyer, how to get registered. Let's go ahead and get registered ourselves, lead by example, and then let's have a great time with building the business. Like I said, this is about people, interact with people, learn people, discover people's ways, and then that's just gonna just, give you the knowledge of how to, better present to more people as you speak to people.
That's right.
And it's just all to expand. So we got the Tuesday presentation coming up this week. So we want to invite some guests out, get some people out to the presentation, and let's go out and grow and build this business so that it can become what it was designed to be, and it be designed what it was, or, create or design what it was created to be through us. Okay? Because when something is designed and created to be, it will be, but we want it to be through us. Okay? God bless.